The brightest stars of Hollywood's golden age often carried the darkest secrets. Whose rugged good looks and commanding presence once lit up the silver screen makes a shocking confession on his deathbed. Victor Mature, the man who brought Samson to life, who stood tall among biblical epics and film noir classics, spent his final days going blind, isolated from the world that once adored him. But it wasn't the darkness closing in on his vision that tormented him most, it was something far more painful, a burden he'd carried silently for decades. What could drive a Hollywood icon to suddenly reveal a devastating secret after nearly a lifetime of silence? Was it the guilt that had haunted him since his early days of stardom, or perhaps the mysterious family tragedy he buried beneath the glamour and fame? And why did his health deteriorate so rapidly after finally unburdening his conscience? Before Victor Mature became the ruggedly handsome star whose name would grace movie marquees across America, he was simply Victor John Mature, born on January 29, 1913, in Louisville, Kentucky, the son of a Swiss father who ran a local cutlery business. Young Victor's early years were steeped not in glamour but in modesty and hard work. Those hands that would later wield Samson's strength on screen first learned their discipline by helping in his father's shop, cutting and sharpening blades with precision and care. Few could have predicted that this son of immigrants would transform into one of Hollywood's most recognizable leading men. His journey began with a brief stint at the Kentucky Military Institute before he found his true calling at the Pasadena Playhouse in California. It was there that the raw material of Mature's natural charisma began to be sculpted into something the camera would find irresistible. But Hollywood never simply opens its gates. Before his breakthrough, Mature worked odd jobs, selling refrigerators, plastering walls, all while nurturing dreams bigger than the modest paychecks these positions offered. When producers finally took notice of him, they saw what millions of viewers would soon come to appreciate: a leading man in the making whose physical presence commanded attention before he spoke a single line. The year 1940 marked the turning point. As the prehistoric hero Tumac in 1 million BC, Mature burst onto screens with a physicality that seemed almost superhuman. Suddenly, the former refrigerator salesman found himself catapulted into overnight stardom. His muscular build, those chiseled features that seemed carved from stone, and a screen presence that dominated every frame, these were the elements that made Mature an instant sensation. Throughout the 1940s, he capitalized on this momentum, starring in a string of box office successes. My Gal Sal, 7 Days Leave, and the film noir classic I Wake Up Screaming showcased not just his imposing physical attributes but also his surprising range as an actor who could handle both romance and drama with equal conviction. Yet it was in the biblical epics that Mature found his most iconic roles. As Samson in Cecil B. DeMille's Samson and Delilah, he embodied the legendary strongman with such conviction that for many, Mature became inseparable from the character. The film's success cemented his place in Hollywood's pantheon, leading to other historical dramas like The Robe and Demetrius and The Gladiators. These films transformed Mature from merely a star into a symbol, a representation of masculine strength and heroism that resonated deeply with post-war America. What makes Mature's rise all the more fascinating was his refreshing self-awareness. Unlike many stars who believe their own mythology, Mature maintained a disarming humility about his talents. He famously deflected praise with self-deprecating humor, claiming he was no actor and had 64 pictures to prove it. This refusal to take himself too seriously endeared him to colleagues and fans alike, adding layers of complexity to what could have otherwise been a one-dimensional matinee idol. But there was something even more remarkable about Mature that separated him from many of his Hollywood contemporaries, something that revealed the true character of the man behind the heroic portrayals. At the height of his fame, when most actors would cling desperately to their hard-won success, Mature did something that would forever define his legacy beyond the screen. While his face was selling out theaters across America, Victor Mature's heart was with his country. When World War II engulfed the nation, he did something few stars would dare. He stepped away from the spotlight at the peak of his fame to enlist in the United States Coast Guard. This wasn't some publicity stunt orchestrated by a studio. It was a genuine act of patriotism from a man who valued duty above celebrity. Serving with distinction in the South Pacific, Mature attained the rank of chief boatswain's mate. His fellow servicemen didn't see a Hollywood star, they saw a dedicated Coast Guardsman who shared their risks and hardships. For Mature, this wasn't playing a hero, it was being one. Away from the cameras and applause, his wartime service revealed the substance behind the image, a patriotism that extended far beyond performance and public persona, rooted instead in his deepest values and actions. When he returned to Hollywood after the war, something had shifted. Mature, while he resumed his acting career, had a new dimension to his approach to fame and fortune. He began looking beyond merely being hired talent, seeking greater creative control and entrepreneurial opportunities within the industry he'd come to dominate. By the 1950s, this evolution led him to establish Romina Productions in partnership with United Artists and Batjack Productions, the latter founded by the legendary John Wayne. Through this venture, Mature made the leap from actor to producer, with films like China Doll, a project in which he took on dual roles both in front of and behind the camera. This transition represented more than just business acumen, it signaled Mature's desire to shape his career on his own terms, to break free from being merely a hired face and physique. He announced ambitious plans for future productions like The Incorrigibles and Vaults of Heaven. While not all these projects would ultimately materialize, they demonstrated his determination to carve his own path. The Western genre also provided fertile ground for Mature. Backed by United Artists, he embodied the archetypal cowboy, navigating the moral complexities of the frontier. His rugged appearance and commanding presence made him a natural fit for the genre, adding to his versatility as an actor. Another significant project from this period was Timbuktu, a French Foreign Legion adventure that transported Mature to the dramatic landscapes of North Africa. Under the direction of Jacques Turner, he portrayed a character navigating the perilous missions of the Legion, demonstrating yet again his ability to thrive across diverse genres and settings. By the late 1950s, Mature had developed a strong relationship with producer Irwin Allen, leading to his involvement in The Big Circus. This ambitious project allowed him to step into the colorful world of circus performers, adding yet another dimension to his already impressive range. From war hero to cowboy to circus performer, Mature proved he could convincingly inhabit any role producers could imagine. His filmography continued to expand with projects like The Bandit of Zob and the title role in the Italian peplum film Hannibal, where he portrayed the legendary Carthaginian general with characteristic intensity. His collaboration with Orson Welles in The Tartars further solidified his association with historical epics, a genre that had come to define much of his career. Yet despite this continued success and apparent versatility, something was changing with Mature. By the age of 46, he made a decision that shocked many in the industry: he would retire from acting. When later asked about this choice, he explained with characteristic frankness that it wasn't fun anymore. Financially secure and perhaps weary of the Hollywood machine, he declared his intention to become a professional loafer. But even as he stepped away from the cameras, the personal dramas of Mature continued to unfold, revealing a man whose complexity extended far beyond the characters he portrayed on screen. Behind the larger-than-life persona of Victor Mature existed a man constantly searching for connection and companionship. His personal life was as dynamic and multifaceted as his screen roles, marked by 5 marriages that spanned the various chapters of his evolution through fame and fortune. His first marriage to Frances Charles marked the beginning of his attempts to balance the demands of stardom with the desire for personal fulfillment. Though details of this relationship remain sparse in the public record, it represented his initial foray into reconciling his public image with private happiness, a balance that would prove elusive for years to come. Following this relationship, Mature wed Martha Stevenson Kemp, a woman already familiar with the entertainment world through her previous marriage to renowned big band leader Hal Kemp. Martha had experienced her own brush with tragedy when Hal died in a car accident in 1940, giving her perhaps a unique understanding of life's fragility despite the glitter of show business. Nevertheless, even this shared perspective couldn't sustain their union indefinitely.